All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Patriots First and Goal. I am Alex Shane here breaking down a blockbuster Patriots-Titans game with my good buddy, Rich Hill. Rich, there are a lot of things I knew we'd be talking about this season as we come into whatever resembled the 2024 Patriots. I'm not sure I thought we'd be talking about a game like the one that went down this past Sunday. General thoughts, like how are you feeling right now about that loss? The fact they lost to the Titans and Mason Rudolph, the fact they had the number one overall pick in the draft. Thought that Drake Maye looked okay. He looked kind of like what's the overall vibe in Hill land over there, or Hill country, I should say.
I feel like there's a couple things going through my head, and I can't think of the last time I've really felt this way with the Patriots on this. Where one, awful. The Titans are atrocious. They were competing for one of the worst teams in the league, and the Patriots looked outclassed. Like, they did not look good relative to a bad team. Like, the talent level, so disparate. The Titans, obviously, like, they're not as well coached, which is weird to say, but like the talent level is such a gap between the Patriots. Where I left this game being like, oh, outside of Drake Maye, the Patriots might have the worst roster in the league. They might have the worst talent across the board, which is shocking and horrifying to say. But the biggest possible silver lining was when you watch Drake Maye out there, even mistakes and warts and all, the 2 fumbles and the 2 interceptions, like all of those things, that last play where he made something silly happen to force overtime, I felt like, oh, awesome. The Patriots have their guy. And that's worth it all to me.
Yes, I mean, like I think even the analysts are saying the Patriots have a guy in Drake Maye. It wasn't just that last play, as amazing as that was. Probably my favorite part of that last play is second 6 of that 12-second scramble. A Titans player came out of nowhere on his left side. He's kind of casually shuffled around him. I extended the play for another 6 seconds. It might have been kind of a chucking for a prayer toward the end there, but the fact that he lasted as long as he did, awesome. But as we get into first and goal here, and I think the real problem I'm having with this team, well, I'll talk about the offense in the second half of first down, but this Patriots team, they just cannot stop the run. They can't do it. They are completely incapable of stopping the run. The Titans are not some ground game juggernaut. The Jaguars were not some ground game juggernaut. It's like $150 on the ground each and every week. And honestly, if I am every offensive coordinator, I am looking up the Patriots game plan in 2021 against the Bills, where Mac Jones threw it 3 times, and I'm just copying that playbook. Why would you ever throw against this team?
Never.
There's no reason to.
No, I mean, you look at it too, and it's not like the Titans were doing anything special with it either. And it's not like they were, they broke a few really big tackles. Like, the official game book has 1 broken tackle on the day for Tony Pollard. And you look across, Tony Pollard averaged 2.6 yards before contact. It's because the Patriots are getting blown off the line of scrimmage every single time. Timeout, though, Alec. My favorite part of this Titans roster is that I could not think of their running back, Julius Chestnut, without thinking of our good friend Joey Chestnut, the all-time hot dog eating champion. The Jay Chestnut got me every single time. Those are the little things that get me through this season, and I just adored that so much. So, Julius Chestnut, you are my player of the game. I appreciated seeing your name out there every single time, even though Tony Pollard did twice as much as you.
Fair enough. You take the little victories, you can get them. And Joey Chestnut might be the single most dominant athlete in the history of professional sports. If you want to call hot dog eating a sport, the guy just gets it done. However, at the same time, the real question mark here is nobody under any circumstance considers Mason Rudolph a good quarterback. And on multiple occasions, he just drove right down the field to the point, Rich Hill, where I don't know if you felt the same way, but after Rondé Stevenson caught that touchdown to tie it at the end, I was screaming at the TV, go for 2. You're not going to stop them. Go for 2. They lose, fine, but please go for 2. Did you feel the same way?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think there was like 3 different times this week where teams around the league had the, score at the end of regulation time to force overtime, and all of them chose to kick for the extra point as opposed to go for 2. And all 3 of those teams that settled for the extra point lost. That's why it's just like, in my head, play the odds. You haven't been that good.
No.
You haven't been that effective at getting down the field. You haven't been that good at scoring points. If you can't call a 2-yard play a 50-50 kind of situation, that's on you. But the odds of them getting a stop and then turning around and then scoring on their end feels way lower to me than just trying to score for 2 right there, especially when you have a running quarterback like Drake Maye. The fact that he can stretch things out so much. And like, I have zero faith in the Patriots coaching staff to call the right play in that moment. And so that's where I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, if they go for overtime, whatever. But like, I would have expected them to do a delayed draw out of the shotgun on that extra point and get tackled for -2 yards. That's what I would have expected them to call. And I've been like, yeah, all right, well, that's why they lost the game. But logically, I feel like they should have gone for 2 as opposed to going for overtime.
Yeah, so again, so they win a game, who cares? Like, it doesn't really matter. It was a good kind of situational football thing. And you're absolutely right. They would have called a delay. There just isn't a word that exists to adequately explain to you how much I hate the delayed handoff out of shotgun. I think it is the worst play you could possibly call in any circumstance, let alone like 2nd and 9, which seems to be their favorite time to call it, to make sure 2nd and 9 is now 3rd and 13. It's like bread and butter. I don't know why they keep calling it. They're going to keep calling it. This goes back to the Tom Brady era. It's ubiquitous across the NFL. I hate that play. I'm getting riled up just thinking about it. However, chill. Let's try and stay positive. The thing it's weird to say that the most positive things I'm taking away from this game are the mistakes that Drake Maye made. This is his first game as a rookie where he made very typical rookie mistakes. He had a really bad read on his first pick. He misdiagnosed the coverage on the game ceiling pick. Although if you look, Kendrick Bourne just like fell and he freed the safety up on that. So it's not entirely his fault, but he did misread that coverage. And that strip sack, he held the ball for a little too long. Should have felt the pressure coming. Those are all 3 very understandable mistakes you expect rookies to make, and he finally made them. He said all the right things. He took accountability, and despite all of that, he was basically the entire offense of the Patriots. All of it. He threw for 200 yards, but he ran for like 95 yards. He was extending plays. I don't know how many throws he made were like the first read and the first call from the play call. It was all kind of beyond his years, diagnosing coverages, making plays happen, getting guys in the right thing, in the right position, and people kind of having the same chemistry, which is really nice. So that's really optimistic for me.
Totally. I mean, I agree. And it's one where he is putting the team on his back and playing in a way that if I were a free agent trying to figure out where is this league going in a few years, who are the bright young quarterbacks, like obviously Jane Daniels out of Washington is the guy right now, but Drake Maye is putting on a show, right? It's enough where he's proving that he can do it. He just has literally no one around him. And it's jarring to me to see some of these stats of production, which I attribute to the coaching staff because the players aren't that bad. Of Ramondre Stevenson getting 16 yards on 10 carries is absolutely impossible to me that someone of his ability could produce that little. But also, Demario Douglas, 7 catches for 35 yards. One of them was for 21 yards, which means that he had 6 catches for 14 yards. He was averaging a little over 2 yards per catch. How unimpressive is your offensive play calling to allow that to happen? Where it's to me, it is as clear as day that the coaching staff is hampering this team more than anything.
Do you think the coaching staff just knows how little talent they have and they just don't have the creative chops to dial up good plays based on the talent? So they're kind of mailing in, going with the quick, easy ones, hoping for the best?
No, not at all. Because it's one where if you're limited and your ability of your players, you have to be more creative. You have to be more creative to get things done. And continuously throughout this season, we started off with Alex Van Pelt being like, we're only going to use motion if it has a purpose. And it's like, no, all motion has a purpose. It's to throw them off guard. So that way, when you actually are using motion to get a player free, they're not going to always expect it. The fundamental understanding of what makes an offense creative and productive has not been there this entire time. It has not existed for years. That even Josh McDaniels last year with the Patriots with Mac Jones was where they just reeled everything back, where they just said, Mac Jones, you cannot even try to throw the ball more than 10 yards down the field. And I feel like we have this continuous limitation on this offense through the play calling where, hey, they're letting Drake Maye throw down the field. Great. I think that's way better than what it's been. There's still no creativity in getting players free, in giving them opportunities to produce in the open field with green space to run, where you just watch any other modern offense in the NFL these days. And you're like, why aren't we doing that? Why aren't the Patriots calling more plays like that? And that's just the tip of the iceberg of the Alex Van Pelt experience right here, where I don't think he's the biggest problem in the coaching staff.
Do you think that Jerod Mayo will enter into his second NFL season on the hot seat?
Absolutely, without question. It's one where there was no more striking of a juxtaposition than hearing him talk about their decision in overtime of the direction of the field, where I think Burned wrote about this on Pat's Pulpit, where Bill Belichick, I think it was Devin McCourty, was talking about one of the interceptions he was able to register as a rookie, where Bill Belichick told him, hey, the air in the stadium swirls right here. So if they throw a deep ball to this quadrant of the field, sit down, because the ball will get knocked down and you'll be in a position to get an interception. There was no coach better able to get the team thinking on what it takes to be successful on the margins than Bill Belichick, where he knew exactly what the wind was doing at a given point in time and how it could possibly affect a given play. You hear Jerod Mayo, where when asked, why did we go this way in overtime, where Drake Maye's interception was knocked down because of the wind. It didn't have the legs to go the distance because he was throwing into the wind. And why would the Patriots throw into the wind in overtime? Why would they choose that? Because, hey, if they needed to settle for a field goal, because that's the whole point of saying we're going to go for overtime, is like maybe you get a defensive stop and all you need is a field goal, is that you should be taking the wind. Because that way, then maybe Joey Sly can knock in a 60-yarder if you get nothing on offense, is that you take the wind. And for Jerod Mayo to come out there and say, the reason why in overtime we went against the wind is because the wind changed directions in the middle of the game. And they had been using their understanding of wind patterns from the beginning of the game versus the end of the game to inform that decision. And that just shows the complete lack of preparedness that Jerod Mayo has shown all year long and his inability to get the players ready to go. And it is week in and week out, an inability to get his players ready to go and an inability to improve on it. That is the most frustrating part and why he's absolutely going to be on the hot seat.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be. I mean, it's the interesting juxtaposition. You basically have two rookies, a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback, and the quarterback's getting better in real time, like by the snap almost. You can see him, the game slowing down a bit. You see him learning, still making mistakes. But Jerod Mayo just seems a little in over his head right now, where he didn't maybe realize how much more comes with being a head coach besides just play calling, dialing up defenses, talking. Like, I think there's a lot more that goes into running a football team that maybe he just wasn't prepared for. Maybe he'll get prepared. Maybe he'll take this offseason and recalibrate what he has to do and his commitment level. I'm willing to give him that opportunity. But I think he needs to sit down and realize there's a lot more to being a head coach than just having the players like you and calling certain plays on the field. And there's a lot of hidden football that Belichick loved talking about: hidden yards, field position, situational football, knowing the rule book so intimately you can line people up within. There's a lot that goes into it, and he's got a long way to go. I don't know if I'm going to agree with you saying he's going to be on the hot seat in year two. Maybe if they go 2-15, 2 years in a row, sure. I'd like to hope he's a little bit longer leash than that, but I do think he's got a lot of off-season soul searching and preparation to do. I agree with that.
Totally. I mean, it's a situation where if they start next season in the same way that they have started this one, where if they open up whatever it is, 2-8 to start the year, 2-7, if that is how they start the year, he's gone. Like maybe Kraft lets him finish out the year, but in the same way that after the Raiders game, and especially after the Colts game with Belichick's final year, everyone's like, oh, they're letting him finish the year, but there's no world he comes back. I feel like we're going to have that same sentiment with the Patriots here.
Well, here's the plus side, Rich Hill. With that loss to the Titans, the Patriots now have sole possession of the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. They have a very tenuous hold on that because I think there are 9 two-win teams. 9 two-win teams in the NFL, which is wild. And the Titans dropped down to like the 7th or 8th pick, I think. Or maybe the 9th pick at this point. They probably lost more than they won this game because these are 2 teams that are not going anywhere this season. Again, I'm not a tank for the draft pick kind of guy, but if you're going to lose a game and you get the number 1 overall pick and the team that won the game drops like 5 spots in draft order, I'll take the Patriots in that one.
Totally. I mean, this is absolutely going to be one of those tiebreaker games that when they're choosing the draft rank in the order, it's like, well, the Titans, they beat the Patriots, though. Titans and Jaguars, 2 of the worst teams, they beat them. So Patriots go a couple slots ahead. And it's going to be worth it, right? We all knew that this was going to be a bad year for the Patriots. Yeah. I'm happy that they beat the Jets.
Right.
Also, I don't care if they lose games. The thing that is grinding my chops, and maybe as we go into 2nd, 3rd, and 4th down, we talk about where we need to start seeing more improvement. But all I've wanted to see this year is, can they put the players in a position where we feel like we know them a little bit better, that we feel like there's some players that we can build around. And I feel like we have that with Drake Maye. Without a doubt, I feel like in just his very short amount of time, he's clearly been the team's best quarterback. He puts them in the best position to win. He has a bright future. What we also need to see that we have not seen to this point is any other player, maybe other than Christian Gonzalez, play up. Every other player, I feel like, has either been mediocre or been less than what we know they're capable of, other than Christian Gonzalez and Drake Maye. Am I right on that sentiment?
I would say that Hunter Henry. Bryce Behringer, yes. Great punter. I'd say Hunter Henry has emerged as a reliable kind of top-tier tight end, which is more an indictment of tight ends as a whole in 2024 than saying Hunter Henry's like elite, because there really isn't like a Gronk, Travis Kelce style, just like dominant tight end anymore. I think Hunter Henry and Drake Maye have developed a rapport and a chemistry that's very, very useful. The problem with the Hunter Henry is not a number 1 receiver. Like Hunter Henry should not be leading your team in receptions and yards, and he is. I think he'd be a phenomenal complementary piece to a better receiving core. I do think Kayshon Boutte has a lot of potential. I want to see him get involved more. Every time he touches the ball, something good happens. I like to see more play schemed around him. I think Demario Douglas is good at what he does, but again, he's not a number 1 receiver, and I don't know what's happening with the rest of the receiving core. Kendrick Bourne, not bad, but not a guy you build around. And Ramondre Stevenson can't run to save his life right now, which I will attribute to the offensive line a little bit and the constant shuffling around. So, again, I'm not going to bash in too much for that one. I think there are a lot of complementary pieces that fit well in this system, but they're all being asked to outplay their coverage, and they're kind of out of position, or they're being relied on too much, and it's not a lot of cohesion there. So I think the pieces are in place, but maybe we don't know what the puzzle on the front of the box looks like, so it's hard to put them in any kind of order.
Yeah, I mean, part of me also thinks, though, that like the pieces aren't getting more clear, and on the defensive side of the ball, I think that they're getting worse. Right? Like we know Anthony Jennings can be a better player than what he's been doing so far. You see Keon White, who came out strong to start the year. He hasn't had a sack since week 2. Right? He had 4 sacks on the year. He hasn't had a single sack since week 2, and he's getting snaps out there. He's got 1 quarterback hit in the past 3 weeks, and he had multiple quarterback hits each game over the first 4 weeks, and then that's just stopped. And it's a situation where players are not progressing anymore, and that is all we wanted from this year. Was even if we didn't know what the future puzzle might look like, we wanted to know, like, this piece has definition. This piece is an orange. This piece is a starfish. Whatever it's going to be, we needed to get some sense of, oh, it's getting a little bit more clear. But right now, every single puzzle piece on this team that is not Christian Gonzalez, that is not, as you said, Hunter Henry, that is not Drake Maye, that is not Joey Sly and Bryce Behringer. We'll give them a round of applause right there. Special teams kickers. But everyone else is feeling a little bit run down, those puzzle pieces that have just like frayed edges. And they're just, everyone is underperforming across the board, and that's on the coaches.
That's definitely on the coaches. This is on the coaching staff, and they need to get it together. And will they? I honestly don't know. I'm very much a runway long leash for first year coaches, but something's really not working here, and I don't know what it is. I'm not a football coach. I never will be. This was supposed to be kind of the soft part of the schedule coming in here. And I'll finish our first down with this, Rich. I think before the season started, you and I had the Patriots winning maybe 4 or 5 games. Are you feeling confident about a 4 or 5 win ceiling at this point in the year?
I mean, they're going to be lucky to get to 4. I'm not going to say never. Like the Colts in New England are an opportunity. They're not a good Colts team, even though they're on the cusp. They're going through all of their quarterback changes and everything like that. That's the closest and most likely win. There's enough games where a few weird bounces go their way. The Rams flying cross country could be one. They're not as good as what you're used to with them. Cardinals game, I don't know, coming out of a bye, maybe they come and steal it. There's some games that they could pull it off, but 4 feels like the absolute ceiling, and I feel like we're looking at a 3-14 team.
Very, very possible. It's funny. One of the games I thought they might win. It's a game coming up this week against the Bears, Rich Hill, which is good enough transition. Any to second down going around the league. This Around the League for week 10 is brought to you by Prize Picks, which is the best place to get real money sports action. Over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings makes Prize Picks daily fantasy sports accessible to everybody because you just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. It is the best way to get into the action. Like I said, you can win 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks, and it puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. That means when your picks hit, you can get your money in as little as 15 minutes. And also now offers Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals to get into your account this sports season. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. We also offer weekly promotions on Prize Picks that can lead to big payouts. It's the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your opinions into real money on Prize Picks. So just download the app and use the code CLNS to get $50 off. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Let's download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, Rich Hill. Week 10 kicks off with a probably game of the week-ish.
Yeah.
The Bengals and Ravens on Thursday night. I'm very excited for that one. We got a divisional matchup with Broncos and Chiefs. That's always a weird one. I always like those divisional matchups. We have the Eagles and the Cowboys. A lot of divisional matchups going around the league this year. Which games are you excited about?
There's 2 games in particular that I definitely will be excited to see how they go. One is a 1 p.m. game, 6-2 Steelers on the road against the 7-2 Commanders. 2 teams that are stocking up. The Steelers just acquired Mike Williams from the Jets. Commanders got Marcus Lattimore from the Saints to boost up their secondary. These are teams that are going for it because this feels like a relatively weak year, right? Like Mahomes and the Chiefs, even though they're still undefeated at 8-0, look vulnerable. They've had like 2 convincing wins all year and a bunch of barely scraping by some of the worst teams in the league. And so I see them saying this could be a chance for us to pull it off. And especially with Jaden Daniels looking like the guy for Washington, they're in. They have their window and it is wide open and they have money to spend. They are ahead of schedule. And so I'm excited to see how they do against the Steelers. And then the other game, easy one, 7-1 Lions on the road against the 6-3 Texans. I feel like that is going to be the most exciting game of the week.
What reality are we living in, Rich Hill, where Lions-Texans is the game of the week? But you're right. That's the reality. The Sunday night game, prime time. Texans are good. Lions are nasty. It's really hard not to root for the Lions. I imagine Lions fans had many seasons where their season was over well before week 10, so they kind of had to pick a team and go with them. Good for them. I'll tell you what I'm excited to see, just because I really enjoy watching them play. It's not going to be a good game, but the Vikings-Jaguars, I just love the Vikings offense. And every time I watch the Vikings play, I get a little envious that they don't have the offensive coordinator in New England. I can't imagine he's going to go anywhere but a head coaching position come next week. So I imagine the Vikings are going to roll over the Jaguars. But if you're looking for a competent NFL offense and a well-called NFL offense, look no farther than Minnesota.
No, I like that. I mean, it's also one where I'm like, okay, if the Patriots need to move on from Van Pelt, who should they be looking to be their next offensive coordinator? Get the quarterback coach from Minnesota. Just look around the league, see who is doing the most with the least at the quarterback position. Investigate. And so, absolutely, look into the Vikings. They've consistently outperformed based off of what they have on offense, and a lot of it comes down to the scheme. Kevin O'Connell has done a great job with them. But the other areas of focus, again, Alec, this is new territory for us. Where we're rooting for draft picks a little bit to an extent. 2-7 Jaguars against the Vikings team there. There's some other 2-7 teams out there. 2-7 Saints hosting the Falcons. They just fired their coach. The 2-6 Titans on the road against the Chargers. The 2-6 Dolphins on the road against the 4-4 Rams. But the best one of the week, 2-7 Giants on the road against the 2-7 Panthers in a game that will absolutely be what decides their draft picks, because those are the two teams, along with the Patriots and the Titans, that are the 4 worst in the entire NFL. And Patriots have lost to the Titans. Titans have hurt their draft pick. And, as you said, they're 9th now in the draft order, obviously half game back from all the 2-7 teams. But this Giants-Panthers game has a lot at stake, where the loser of this game will most likely have a top 2 to 3 pick, and the winner of this one might drop into the 5 to 10 range. And that's a lot at stake.
I have to wonder what they were thinking, the schedule makers, when they decided, it's a good game to send to Germany? Giants-Panthers. There's no reality where the Giants or Panthers were going to be good this year. They weren't going to be as bad as they're looking right now, but this is not going to be a marquee matchup. I feel like the product they're shipping overseas is just atrocious this season. I can't imagine it'll do much for international relations. But yeah, maybe that game will end in a tie. It's probably best for both Patriots fans. And the Patriots will maybe drop one of the Bears, maybe beat one of the Bears. The Bears are currently last in the NFC North at 4-4. They've got another young rookie quarterback. He was possibly on New England's radar, depending on how the draft shook out. He went 1st overall. Maye went 3rd overall. Is this the first of many matchups between these two? We will see. Bears offense, Patriots defense. Maybe we should start there. I imagine if there's a lot of fans up there like me, they don't know a whole lot about this Bears team. It's not a team that's getting a lot of primetime play. There is talk what Caleb Williams is doing as a rookie. He's being impressive. They've got Keenan Allen, if I remember correctly. They traded for him, an older Keenan Allen. They still have Mercedes Lewis, who's like 75 years old, as a tight end. So if you remember Mercedes Lewis in his Jaguar days, they have some names that are recognizable. But I feel like as an overall roster, this is still a team maybe a couple of years farther along in the rebuild than New England is. So if you're New England's defense, you just stack 11 guys in the box and hope to stop the run and not even bother with the pass just because you can't stop the run at all. What's your defensive strategy here?
Yeah, it's not good. It's one where you have to look across this whole Bears roster and what have they been dealing with on their side. Like DJ Moore has been dealing with an injury, also just like discontentment. This is a Bears team that if they lose to the Patriots, they're going to fire their head coach, right? These are the stakes of this game. It's same with Patriots Jaguars, where if the Jaguars lost to the Patriots, Doug Peterson was going to get fired the next day. That's the Patriots level. They are the Grim Reaper for coaches, where if the New England Patriots win, they're getting fired. And there's a lot of discontentment happening across the Bears. They're going to try and just win a simple game, right? They don't need to try and show that they can have a high flying aerial attack. And also, like, Caleb Williams hasn't really been doing that. Right? He's averaging 208 passing yards per game. DJ Moore is good. Roma Dunze is good. Cole Kmet is like a good tight end as well. Keenan Allen is old, definitely underperforming in general over the course of like the whole year as it relates to just expectations writ large. But this is a team that runs with DeAndre Swift. He is the running back, 505 yards on the ground, averaging 63 yards per game, also catches it out of the backfield, averaging 28 yards per game through the air. So that is the focus of their entire offense. And if I am Jerod Mayo, DeMarcus Covington, and saying, how can we stop this team? It's, can we stop DeAndre Swift? I trust Christian Gonzalez to do a good job against DJ Moore if he's healthy and able to go. I assume they'll put Jonathan Jones against Roma Dunze. They'll be fine-ish. I don't think Caleb Williams is going to win a game through the air. The Patriots' path to victory is stopping DeAndre Swift on the ground. And Alec, do you think they can do it?
No. What a ridiculous question. Of course they can't stop bad running backs on the ground, let alone the good ones. Even if the offense runs through that running back, this is not a scenario where I have yet to see a single game where the Patriots have effectively stymied the run. And that goes double when you have a mobile quarterback like Caleb Williams, who can extend plays with his legs pretty well. So they're basically two running backs they're going up against, and they can't even stop one running back. So I expect a very low volume passing game. If the Bears are smart, at least, I don't know if they're going to try and air it out to put on some kind of show, but if they have any brains on their offensive side of the ball, they're going to throw the ball minimally. They're going to grind it down. They're going to be these 17-play, 75-yard scoring drives where I will say the Patriots are better at stiffening up in the red zone and limiting the field goals sometimes. But I think it's going to be a very, very long day on the ground. I'm going with Devon Gottschall as my X factor. He's the only kind of run stuffer they have in the middle of the field. He's playing well, but they just don't have the talent around him. This is a situation where Christian Barmore would go a long way being in that lineup, but he's just not. And I think it's going to be a very long day for this defense.
I completely agree. And it's one where they've figured out that they can run the ball. I mean, that's what they did against the Commanders, even though they lost, but 202 yards on the ground, and part of they just couldn't get anything going through the air. But teams can run the ball, no problem. And if I'm going to choose an X factor, it's going to be Tavai. I feel like he's been picked on a lot through the air. I think that DeAndre Swift is going to try and get matchups with him out in space. And maybe if the Patriots can find a way to get Marte Mapu more of those matchups, that would be great. But I think teams are going to hunt out Tavai. I think that he is being asked to play way out of his depth without Bentley by his side. And that's just another level of struggle that they've had against the run. But it's very clearly, if the Patriots can hold them to under 100 rushing yards on the day, Alec,
Rich,
what are the odds that they hold them under 100?
I mean, I don't have the stats. What's the last team they held under 150? When's the last time that happened?
It's not been good. So technically it was against the Jets. But outside of the Jets game where they won, again, 112 yards on the ground, they allowed 167 to the Titans, 171 to the Jaguars, 192 to the Texans, 193 to the Dolphins. And here we go, 148 against the 49ers. And before that, 133 against the Jets. So if you remove the Jets games, they've had one game in recent memory below 150, and it was 148 to the 49ers.
So there's not been a single non-100-yard rushing game the Patriots have surrendered all season, is what you're telling me.
Well, they've allowed it to the Seahawks and the Bengals. They allowed 46 rushing yards to the Seahawks and 70 to the Bengals, and then that was when Bentley just got hurt and everything went sideways.
Since week 2, they have not allowed less than 148 rushing yards. So basically, no, there's not going to be any scenario where they don't allow 100 yards rushing on the ground. We talked about Prize Picks. Always go more than 100 yards rushing against the Patriots to make some money on Prize Picks. I just don't see it. The question, the only thing I can see is what I'd like to see the Patriots at least do. I think Christian Gonzalez was the last. Oh no, they had never mind. I take that back. They had an interception in the end zone on a horrible Mason Rudolph decision. So they got one turnover, but they're really not generating turnovers here either.
None.
Maybe if they can't stop the run, try and strip the ball at least, punch it out, knock it free. try and jump on something, get some short fields. I'm sick of this defense. It's not their fault. They're defending short fields way more often than they need to, and they're giving up long drives. And that's why you see just a really, really gassed bunch of guys come in the fourth quarter. And you're seeing a lot of these running yards come late in games when they're just tired, which is not entirely on them. It's on the offense as well. Which is a good position against the fourth down, Rich Hill. Patriots offense against the Bears defense. I never thought of the two units in 2024 I'd be more optimistic about the Patriots offense being able to generate points, but I guess that's the Drake Maye effect. How do you see your Patriots attacking the Bears defense in this one?
Not well. This is a defense that's good. It might be a mirage for some other teams, but the Patriots aren't going to be one to crack this chestnut. They rank 5th in the league in points allowed. Like they are a very good team. 5th in points allowed, 6th in points allowed per drive. They rank 7th against the pass. They are 6th in turnovers that they force. They are good across the board. They, a little bit of vulnerability to the run, but across the board, very, very good on defense from a production standpoint. Is it really good? And I'm tapping my forehead for our audio listeners. Are they really good? Let's think about it. They've played the Titans. They played the early year Texans when they're still dealing with a lot of things. The Anthony Richardson, or I guess the early year Colts, the Rams when they're battling their injuries, the Panthers, the Jaguars. And they allowed 29 points to the Cardinals. And then they had a good game where they allowed 18 points to the Commanders. In general, though, they've played pretty garbage teams. And Patriots are a garbage team. We can be upfront on this. This is not a team that the Patriots offense is going to all of a sudden figure it out against this Bears defense, because the Bears match up pretty well. They have very good linebackers. TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edwards are a very good, mobile, speedy group in the middle of the field. Kevin Byard is one of the best strong safeties in the entire league. They have quality across the board. They have some ability up front. I wouldn't say that they have any monsters in the trenches. I think Montez Sweat is like a generally good player, but I don't think that they have any like world breakers in the middle. But what they do have is a lot of creativity and depth. They have 16 players that have recorded at least part of a sack this year. They are mixing it up. They are making up for the lack of individual talent with creativity, which is something that the Patriots offense should try and mirror on their part. They have a lot of players that can get their hands on the ball. Jalen Johnson, I know Tyreek Stevenson got embarrassed in that Hail Mary game against the Commanders, but he leads the team with 8 passes defended. They have enough talent across the defense that I don't think that the Patriots have any particularly strong matchups. But I will say that if the Patriots are able to get going on the ground in any game, it's going to be this one. And so my X factor is the Patriots rushing attack here. Very easy throwaway. But if the Patriots offensive line can give Ramondre more than a yard before contact, we might have a ball game here. But if they replicate what their performance was last week against the Titans and he's getting hit at the line of scrimmage every single time, it's game over by halftime.
Very possible. My X factor is going to have to be the fact that will we see a consistent offensive lineup across the board? Will it be the same guys that started last week, or will it be a totally new combination? Will it be formation number, was it 9 or 7 or 8? 9? I don't know. I've lost track of how many different combinations of offensive linemen they have trotted out there. I've completely lost track, and I can't imagine a scheme-heavy, creative defense that generates a lot of sacks as a team going up against a rookie quarterback and an offensive line where we're into week 10, and I couldn't tell you who they were, and I cover this team semi-professionally. I can't see that going well for anybody.
No, I mean, like they started Layden Robinson last week against the Titans. They cannot do it here. Alec, when we're going back to, let's talk about the coaches just being bad and being the problem. Starting Layden Robinson, moving Michael Onwenu out to tackle. Why? Why are they doing that? If Adarian Lowe is back and like you could use Onwenu at the tackle spot, because according to Jerod Mayo, they made a good game time adjustment here by saying we need to bench Layden Robinson, move Michael Onwenu into the middle because we were just getting pushed around in there. And they have some they have some pretty good players in there. They're best players in the middle, so we should put our best player there too. And it's like, y'all knew Jeffrey Simmons was going to be there. What in what world do you think that is a good admission to make? That we made a mid-game adjustment to say, let's block their best player, Alec? No, thank you. And so I'm envisioning another change. Layden Robinson should not start. He has been just not good this entire year. Will a different alignment be better? It has to be, because it's been pretty bad with what they've been doing every single other week.
Yeah, maybe this whole season is just one big audition, and they're just giving every player every opportunity to play like every position on the field and see where they excel and where they don't. That's why everyone's lining up all over the place, and there's different formations and passing scheme. Maybe everyone's just kind of just fighting for their job. I don't know. It makes zero sense to me, Rich Hill. But the wild factor is we have a quarterback who can make plays, who can extend plays with his legs, who can make magic happen. I'm not saying he's some kind of, miracle worker or Patrick Mahomes to a kind of Lamar Jackson level, but I feel like a lot of the positive plays that were made against the Titans were kind of improvised by Drake Maye.
Yep.
And if he can run around back there long enough, guys will get open. So maybe he'll hit Kayshon Boutte deep for a big gain. Maybe Jalen Polk will catch a pass this game. There is a path. There is a path to an upset, I think, if they can establish some semblance of the run and get a few deep play actions on like 2nd and 1. Maybe they can pull off an upset and we get some momentum back. Maybe a botched punt, a special teams turnover, a pick with a short field. I can see them sneaking away with it if certain things go right. But I think they can't afford to make any stupid mistakes, any pre-snap penalties, any kickoff returns, any false starts, any just dumb things that keep shooting themselves in the foot, holding penalties, negating big plays. 2nd and 1 becomes 2nd and 10 because of some nonsense. They can't afford to do that and walk away with this game.
Totally. And a lot of what you've mentioned comes down to the coaches and their ability to get their team prepared. And outside of that Jets game, I don't think that they've been prepared since week 1. Maybe you could give them some credit against the Seahawks, but this is a team that has been unprepared week in and week out. And I would love to be proven wrong here. I'd love for Drake Maye to say, hey, I've figured it out with Kayshon Boutte, and Demario Douglas is going to average more than 2 yards a catch because, hey, it's 2024. We can figure out how a modern NFL offense should operate. And maybe they do it. Maybe the things start to click and everything comes together. Maybe it happens against this Bears team that is, not a great team, but good enough. Sure. And am I going to hold my breath for it to happen? I don't know, Alec. What's your turnover rate here for the Patriots offense? Like, how many turnovers do you think they're going to commit this game? Because I feel like that's been a big problem for them this year.
I'd be okay with a Drake Maye deep shot getting picked off. Maybe take a shot down the sideline. I'd be okay with that. I can see a receive. I think we're due for if we're doing like the turnover bingo. It's been a while since we've gotten like a receiver fumble, like a good catch and run. It's stripped out by the safety. We haven't had one of those in a little while. Maybe some nonsense where a receiver comes down with it, the safety comes down with it, and it's like bobbling in the air. Somebody catches it. And it's been a while since they fumbled on a kickoff or a muff punt or something like that. So I'm going to go maybe one Drake Maye pick, a receiver fumble, and some special teams turnover of some kind.
Wow. That's a wacky day. Because I think the other side of it is that the Bears don't turn the ball over. That's why they've been able to overcome a pretty mediocre offense, is that they're running the offense that the Patriots wish that they could have run.
Yep.
Right. Like fundamentally, this is what the Patriots wish they could have done, is that they don't care if they're only throwing for 200 yards out there, if they're protecting the football and finding ways to get into the end zone. And they weren't able to do that this year because they were loose with the football. And that's what they've continued to be. So, Alec, I don't have any other final thoughts on this Patriots Bears matchup. I want to see Jalen Polk finally have a day. Finally, because if he goes to the end of this year without having had a day, then I don't see a recovery for him in New England.
No, especially with all the drops and the cap space they're going to have. You know, receivers going to be high on their list of priorities. And so it's really up to the incumbent receivers who are currently on the team to make a case for why they should be here next year. He might have one more year because he's a rookie, and they'd be weird to dump a rookie after one season, but it'll be a very long outside looking in situation. I'm with you. Let's get to predictions here, Rich Hill. This game, as always, is brought to you by Game Time. These predictions, gametime.co. It is everyone loves to go to watch live games. I've never been to a Chicago Bears game. I would love to do that. Soldier Field's definitely on my bucket list. If you want to go, you can get your tickets on Game Time. I love Game Time because they have the all-in pricing. You can toggle it up front. It shows you exactly what it costs, no hidden fees, no taxes, and it's easier than ever to get seat views, panoramic view from your seat from the app before you buy, a low price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the tickets, and your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Just download the app, create an account, and use the code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. It is also prediction time. Let me go back and look. I think we were both stupid enough to pick the Patriots against the Titans.
Foolish.
Yes, we were. You had a 31-13 blowout. I had a 24-14, slightly closer, but still not even close. The Patriots lost that game, and I am still with the hammer because I had the Patriots beating the Jets. You had the Jets losing the Patriots. So the Bears are currently sitting at 4-4, good enough for last in the NFC North. They're 0-4 on the road, and by a proclamation, that means they're 4-0 at home. They have yet to lose a home game this season. Something about playing there sits well with them. The Patriots, they're bad on the road and at home, so it doesn't really matter. I don't see the Patriots being the team to break their Chicago winning home streak. I think the Bears take this one. I hope it isn't I don't know if it's going to be like a handily won game, but I think the Bears win this one. Maybe they score first. They lead the entire time. This might be a classic. Maybe it's a classic kind of 2023 Mac Jones game where the Patriots come out really flat, get in the hole. Drake Maye brings them back, and then they crap the bed to lose the game late. And the thing we got very used to that. We haven't had that this season, so maybe I'll go back to our roots with that one. I said the Bears take this one something like 26-17.
Interesting. Okay. Well, Alec, I don't know what's the current season standing if you have it on hand. What is your record versus mine? Because I think I'm in Patriots territory.
Okay. Are we including preseason in this record?
Does it make it worse for me if we include preseason?
Yeah, significantly. Regular season, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 correct picks. You have 1, 2 correct picks. So I'm up 2 points.
Wow, this is rough. And I think I was 0 in the preseason on this.
You were.
So I need to make up ground here. I need to pull a couple of Drake Mays here and break out of the pocket, find ways to flip the field, try and recover some ground against you here. I'm going with the Patriots on this one. We're playing games on games. I don't think it'll be a good one, but I think again, if there is a team that has an anemic enough of an offense that has played a bunch of paper tigers of oppositions that inflates the visibility of their defense, it's the Bears. And maybe the Patriots pull a rabbit out of their hat here. If Drake Maye continues to build off of his good production, his good performances, if Hunter Henry, if Demario Douglas, if Kendrick Bourne, who looked like he was becoming more engaged down the stretch, if they are all able to contribute in a meaningful way, and as I said, my X factor, if Ramondre Stevenson in the rushing attack is able to get things going on the ground, and they might be able to, if they're able to do that, I think they could sneak out a win here, something like 23-21.
23-21. Well, someone's going to end the Bears' home streak. And again, the Patriots, it might not be this game because I don't really qualify. The Patriots are going to win one game this season they have no business winning. And it'll be like against like the Bills or something like that. But
was that the Jets game?
The
Jets game?
I hope not. If that's the game, the Patriots have no business winning.
Or the Bengals game. They've had no business winning either of those.
Might be the Bengals game in retrospect, but every bad team wins a game they shouldn't win. I'm hoping we didn't already shoot our shot with the Bengals game, but I don't think the Bears game really qualifies. I don't think the Patriots beating the Bears is some kind of stunner that no one's going to see coming. It's a really, really bad team going on the road to play an okay team, and sometimes bad beats okay. And I'll be very happy to let you catch up one more check mark if you are correct in this prediction.
Cool. Well, I'm excited to break this game down with you next week as, Patriots will take home the victory against the Bears here. Alec, do you have any final thoughts on week 10 of the NFL season?
Good for you and I, Rich, for sticking in this. This shows our dedication to see things through to the bitter end.
I am just holding out hope for Jalen Polk to do something. That is what is motivating me this year, is just something. One player on offense to break free, and this will be the game. Alec, trust me, this will be the game.
I'm good. Like you're with Jalen Polk, where I've been with Tyquan Thornton for like 3 seasons. So
I'm not a truther on this one. I am just hoping on hope. And so, Alec, I have nothing else to break down in week 10 of the NFL season. Until next time, you have a good one.
You too, buddy. See ya.
Later, man.